Good evening, students. I welcome you all for the economics class on behalf of RADA Academy. Today I am going to start with a new and the extension part of demand curve in chapter 2, consumption analysis. And this will be the session 4. And now last class we have seen what is demand, the law of demand, some characteristics of demand and some determinants of demand we have seen. Now today we have seen, and also we have seen the shape of the demand curve we have seen with all the determinants. Now we are going to see how the movement of demand curve it will be. Okay, so we have seen only one with the help of the only one factor we have seen how far the demand curve will be, the structure of demand curve we have seen. Now also with the same factor, and what are all the movements. Okay, we have seen only one movements, the demand curve, the structure of demand curve, it will be sloping downward from left to rightwards, and from right to leftwards we have seen. Now we are going to see the movement of demand curve because of prices, that is changes in the prices, how far the demand curve it will move. Okay, so here in the diagram we are taking the x-axis in the quantity in the x-axis and price of the commodity in the y-axis. Okay, so here at the point A you see if the price of the commodity is from 0, that is it is from 0 to P2, what will be the quantity demanded? So for example, if the price of the commodity is from 0 to P2, what will be the quantity demanded? It will be from 0 to Q2. Quantity demanded, it will be Q2, and the point where the price and quantity line touches each other, this will be the A point. And if suppose there is a changes in the prices of the commodity, it may be an increasing change or decreasing change. So if the price of the commodity it decreases from 0 P2 level to 0 P3 level, okay, somewhat if decreases, for example 5 rupees or 10 rupees, if the price of the commodity decreases, what will be the quantity demanded? Obviously we know decrease in price level will lead to increase in the quantity demanded for a commodity. So at that time what happens, if the price decreases from P2 to P3, then obviously the quantity demanded it will increases from 0 Q2 level to 0 Q3 level. Okay, so at that time what happens, the price and the quantity demanded line it will join together at the point C. Okay, now we are having A point and C point we are having. There can be other situation also if the price rises from 0 P1 P3 or 0 P2 to P1. What happens? The quantity demanded it will be what? Sometimes if we know the price, if the price still it increases, the demand it will be decreasing. So at that time, that is when the price level is from 0 to P1 P1 level, the quantity demanded will decreases to 0 Q1 level. Okay, now you join both the price and quantity point, we will get B. So now we are having all the 3 points in 3 situation, that is B, A, C. Okay, these are all the 3 points we have. When you join all the 3 points, all the edges of all the price and quantity demanded line, you will get a curve called demand curve, which is a sloping downward curve, red color curve. D is the demand curve. So in the previous session we have seen only whenever there is a decrease in the price level, what will happen to the quantity? It will keep on increasing. So at that time also the demand curve it will be sloping curve. Here also this is a one more situation when there is an increase and both increase and decrease in the price level of the commodity. What will happen at that time also? The demand curve it will be sloping downward from left side to the right side. Okay, so this is called the movement along demand curve. Then next we are going to see the shift in the demand curve. So shift, it may be a increasing shift and decreasing shift also. Two kinds of shift it will happen. Okay, so how it happens and why and when it will happen, we are going to see in this diagram. So shift, you see the diagram, how the changes, the shift in the demand curve, how it happens whenever there is a changes in the um, uh, increase or decrease in the demand. It happens because of the changes in the what, changes in the price level we have seen. But there are some situation when there is no changes in the price level, what will happen to the demand curve? The demand curve, that we are going to see with the help of a diagram. You see the diagram, in the x-axis we are taking the quantity demanded, in the y-axis we are taking the price level of the commodity. You see the original demand curve, it will be d, this will be the d. When the price level is from 0 to p1 level, what will be the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded will be 0 to q1 level. So the point where both p1 and q1 touches each other is the a point, where if you draw a curve, demand curve, d is the original demand curve. Okay, so but if there is a change in the condition of demand, that is if the income of the consumer increases, if the taste and preference increases, or increases, what will happen when there is a change in the consumer behavior, or otherwise whenever there is a changes in the price level of the substitute goods or complementary goods, what will happen to the demand curve? The demand curve, it decreases. Okay, so when the income decreases, when the income of the consumer decreases, when the consumer don't want to consume, that is if you don't have the preference to consume the commodity, at that time what will happen? The demand, it decreases. At the same time, if the price of the substitutes or complementary goods, we have seen what is substitute goods, complementary goods, okay, the related, homogeneous related goods, okay, if the price level of the substitute goods decreases, what will happen? The demand for the original commodity also, it will go down. Okay, so from which point to which point it will go down? From the point 0 q1 level to the point q0 q2 level. Okay, so this is the difference in the quantity demanded. Okay, so at that time the quantity, when the when there is a what the demand, the demand curve, it shift to the what, it decreases or shift lower, uh, lower. Okay, so at that time what happens? No, the demand curve, it decreases from d level to d dash level, or we can say d1 curve. Okay, so whenever there is a changes in the what, income of the consumer, taste, and changes in the prices of the substitute goods, what happens? The quantity demanded, it decreases from here a point to the b point. Okay, this we call it as what, the shift in the decrease in the demand, and the structure, it will be decrease in the demand curve, we can say. Okay, so this is the shift in the demand curve. So this shift, it not only to the left side, the shift in the demand curve, it will be to the positive, or it will be to the right side, it can be to the right side also. Okay, so that condition we are going to see in this diagram. You see, this is the other situation, where if you take the quantity demanded in the x-axis, the y-axis we are taking the price, and you see the original price level is from 0, p1 is the original price level. And the quantity demanded, you see, if the price level of the commodity is from 0 to P1, the quantity demanded will be from 0 to Q1. This is the quantity demanded when the price is 0 P1 is the point. A is the point where the demand curve it occurs. When there is a changes in the other conditions like income, you see, you take the same conditions, income, the taste and preference of the consumer. Okay, when there is a changes in the price level of the substitute complementary goods, at that time what happens? No, the quantity demanded it may increase among some of the consumers. Okay, so the quantity demanded it may increase to the higher level, or it may increases to the B level. From A to B, the quantity in demanded it will be increasing. Okay, at that time what happens? No, though the price level is 0 to P1, what will happen to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded will increases from 0 Q1 level to 0 Q2 level. At that time, if you join both the P1 and Q2 point, you will get a edge point B, where if you draw a curve in the edge point B, you will get a increase in the or shift in the right side of the demand curve from D level to D dash level. Okay, so this is the movement and shift in the demand curve. Okay, movement, if there is a increase and decrease in the price level of the commodity, the demand quantity demanded by the consumer, it will be increasing and decreasing according to the increase and decrease in the price level of the commodity. So if you join all the points, you will get a demand curve. The shift in the demand curve, it depends upon what the other indicators of the demand, or the other factors we can say. Okay, so factors like income of the consumer, factors like the taste and preference of the consumer, factors like the price in the changes in the price of the substitute complementary goods, the demand curve it keep on increasing, shift to the right or shift to the left, but the price level will be the same. Okay, it depends upon the consumer's income, it depends upon the taste and preference of the consumer. The shift, there will be a increase and decrease in the or um, uh, or the the demand curve it may move to the right and left side also. Okay, likewise the shift it happens. Okay, which commonly we call it as extension and contraction of demand. Okay, extension and contraction of demand curve. Okay, then now we are going to see the elasticity. So whenever there is this situation happens, that is increase or decrease in the demand curve, it leads to a elasticity. So the movement from left to right, obviously we know there is a elasticity in our movement in the demand curve. So what kind of movement it is there? This demand curve it has, whether it is a elastic or inelastic or any other changes it is there, we are going to see in detail under elasticity of demand. So obviously we know elasticity of demand, it is nothing but according to Stoner and Hogg, they explain this elasticity of demand as a what? The degree of responsiveness of the quantity demanded for a commodity to a change in its price. Okay, so this shift in the demand curve from left and right, we call it as the elasticity. So how far it is elastic? Okay, so whenever, like for example, when you chew a bubble gum, okay, so when you take it out, okay, so you'll have that elasticity will happen. Okay, so it will be very elastic whenever you use any other rubber thing. Okay, when you stretch it, it will be a very elastic. So when one person stretch it on both the side, the level of stretches it will keep on extending. Okay, so likewise what happens to the demand curve when this shift it happens? Okay, so which we call it as what? The elasticity. And here now we see this elastic demand, it is said to be very elastic when the quantity demanded increases by a larger amount due to a little fall in the price. Okay, though there is a little fall or rise in the price level, this elasticity of demand, it happens. Okay, so this elasticity, it is not a proportional one. Sometimes it is there will be a what, there will be a larger proportional, there will be a little proportional. The proportional will happens according to the situation. Okay, so what are all the situation, how this elasticity it happens, when it happens, all those things we are going to see with the help of the price factors. Okay, now here you see there are various kinds of various types of elasticity of demand. One is price elasticity of demand. Because of price, how far the elasticity of demand it happens. Okay, because of income, how the elasticity of it happens. Then cross elasticity, advertising elasticity of demand. There are four types. Of all these types we are going to see with the help of a measurement, small economic measurements we are going to, and with the help of the diagram we are going to see. Okay, so now the first type of elasticity of demand is price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, by the name itself you can understand how for the elasticity of demand it happens when there is a changes in the price level. Okay, so which we call it as what, price elasticity of demand. Whenever there is a changes in the prices, what will happen, how far the elasticity of changes in the quantity demanded it will happen. Okay, whether there is a little rise in the price level lead to larger level of changes in the quantity of demand, or little increase in the price level lead to moderate changes in the quantity demand, or the smaller changes, what kind of changes the quantity demanded it will be. All those situations we are going to see. The first one is price elasticity of demand. This price elasticity of demand we can write in a very short form. EP is equal to proportionate change in quantity demanded divided by proportionate change in price. Okay, this EP, it is nothing but price elasticity of demand. In short, in economic term we are writing it as EP. This EP, it indicates the elasticity of demand when there is a changes in the price, or we can call it as price elasticity of demand. So how this happens, price elasticity of demand is equal to proportionate change in quantity demanded divided by proportionate change in price. Okay, so it is nothing but whenever proportionate change means what, the equal ratio, we can call it as a ratio. So the equal changes in the ratio of price will lead to what, the proportionate change in quantity demanded. Okay, so whenever there is a changes in the price level of the commodity, what will happen to the changes in the quantity demanded? There will be a proportionate change in the quantity demanded. Okay, so this form we can write it in a numerical term as EP is equal to proportionate change in quantity demanded. We can write numerically as delta Q by this delta, it's nothing but a proportionate change. Okay, so delta P into P by Q. So here delta Q, it is nothing but changes in demand. Then delta P is equal to what, changes in price. Okay, so P is the original, this is P and Q, it is a original price and quantity demanded for a particular commodity, whereas this is a P by Q is a price and quantity of a particular commodity, and this is a proportionate changes. Okay, how this proportionate changes, like for example, changes in the 5 rupees for a commodity leads to changes in the 5 units of a commodity. So 5 rupees changes irkumbodhu, whether it is increasing or decreasing in the price level, will lead to a decrease in the quantity of 5 quantities of the commodity, or increase in the what, 5 quantities of commodity. So the changes, it will be a same. Okay, so then here where delta Q is equal to Q1 minus Q0. So we have seen in the diagram Q1, Q0, it is nothing but the level of quantity demanded by a consumer. Okay, so here changes in P is equal to P1 minus P0. So P1 we have seen the price level. So P1 is a rise in the price level. P0 is the stable price of a commodity. Then Q1 is equal to new quantity. Q1 it is nothing but the new quantity. um, uh, Q0 is the original quantity. So P1 is equal to new, that is it's nothing but the real price and changes in the price level. So P1 is nothing but the new price, means what, whether it is an increasing price or decreasing price. P0, as I told you, it's the original stable price level of the commodity. Okay, the same Q1 is the new quantity, means what, the demand for the commodity, whether it is an increasing one or decreasing one. Okay, so with this main concept we are going to see how for the price elasticity of this is the price elasticity of, this is how we are measuring the price elasticity of demand. Whenever there is a changes in the price level will lead to how far the changes in the quantity demanded, whether it is a increasing one or decreasing one. But the formula is EP is equal to proportionate change in quantity demanded divided by proportionate changes in the price level of the commodity. Okay, so this we will see it in detail how far the price elasticity of demand it happens. Okay, so what are all the various situation when there is a changes in the price level of the commodity. Now you just you understand this one, we'll see in detail after seeing the other three one. The next one is income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand, it is nothing but the same thing, same concept, but whenever there is a proportionate changes in the income, how far the proportionate changes takes place in the quantity demanded for a product, okay, or for a commodity. Okay, so you just imagine whatever the product you are using in your daily life. Okay, so here income is a factor which influences the changes in the demand for a commodity, which we call it as income elasticity of demand. So whenever there is a proportionate change, proportionate, you have to keep it in your mind, proportionate, it is nothing but the same ratio. Okay, same ratio of changes in the income of the consumer leads to proportionate changes in the quantity demanded for a commodity. So which we call it as income elasticity of demand. So in short, we can write this income elasticity of demand as EY is equal to proportionate change in quantity demanded for a product divided by proportionate change in income. So EY, it is nothing but income elasticity of demand. Y, it represents income. E, it represents elasticity of demand. So income elasticity of demand is equal to proportionate change in quantity. So you see the denominator. Denominator is the main important factor which influences the demand for a commodity. So you see proportionate change in income. So whenever there is a change in the income of a consumer, what will happen? There will be a changes in the quantity demanded for a product. When you have 100 rupees, you will consume what? You will consume 100 rupees pack chocolate packets you will buy. When your income is become very low, when your parents is giving only 5 rupees, your demand for the commodity will be according to that, it will go down. When your income increases, when your parents is giving 500 rupees for your for your birthday, as a packet money for your birthday, what will happen? Obviously according to the increase in the amount of money in your hand, obviously you will take your friends to the canteen for treat. Okay, so when there is a changes in the income, the quantity demanded also it will keep on increasing like that. Only the thing is the proportionate change is very important. The word proportionate changes, it indicates the same ratio of one factor leads to the same level of increase in the other factor. Okay, that is the very important thing here. So which we call it as income elasticity of demand. The next one is cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand, here you see this is also, it refers to the percentage change in quantity demanded. This is very very important. Percentage change in quantity demanded for one commodity as a result of a small change in the price level of the other commodity. You see, you can write this concept in a in this form, that is EC is equal to EC, C it is nothing but what? Cross. E is the elasticity. So cross elasticity of demand is equal to proportionate change in demand of commodity X divided by proportionate change in price of commodity Y. You see, in the numerator it is given commodity X. In the denominator it is given commodity Y. So this is the main difference under the cross elasticity of demand. So sometimes we need to see the demand for the commodity of demand for the two commodities, like substitute commodities, like complementary commodities. Okay, so what will happen to the demand for X commodity when there is a change in the price level of the Y commodity? Okay, this is very very important. Okay, so this interrelated goods, okay, interrelated goods, we need to see the demand for, analyze the demand for the interrelated goods also. So whenever there is a change in the proportionate change in the price level of commodity Y, what will happen to the demand for the commodity X? Okay, like for example, we have seen more of substitute goods and complementary goods, like coffee and tea we have seen, car and petrol we have seen, then you see bread and butter, okay, pen and ink. These are all the examples of substitutes and complementary goods. So what will happen to the changes in the price level? If you see the price level, if the price level of petrol increases, what will happen to the demand for the petrol suitable cars? What will happen? The demand, it depends upon like that. Okay, if the price level of petrol increases, it keep on increasing, what will happen? The people, the demand for the petrol cars, it will go down. Okay, and they'll prefer a diesel, they'll switch on to what? They consuming the other commodities. Okay, so the analyzing of the demand for the interrelated or substitute or complementary goods, we call it as what? Cross elasticity of demand. So if the demand, if the price of petrol it increases, what will happen to the demand for the cars? How far it is, what is the level of the demand for those commodities? So to study this concepts, we call it as what? Cross elasticity of demand. Then next here, the fourth type of elasticity of demand is advertising elasticity of demand. So advertisement is also one of the factor for the increase or decrease in the demand for a commodity. So what will happen? You see, the EA, we write this as what? EA is equal to what? A is the advertising, E is the elasticity of demand. Okay, so this we write it as proportionate change in demand by proportionate change in advertising expenditure. How far, if you are running a company, if you are running an entrepreneurial activity, if you are involved in any entrepreneurial activity, or if you are a very big producer in a manufacturing sector, what you will do nowadays? The very simple and easiest way to reach the consumer in a very shorter period is advertisement. Okay, so whenever the producer or whenever the seller, if they are spending lot of money in advertising their commodities, what will happen? Easily it will reach the consumer, so that it helps to increase the demand for the commodity. So whenever a producer or seller is spending more money in advertising, what will happen? No, the demand for the commodity, it increases. So how much ever you are spending the money, that much amount of changes will happen for the demand for a commodity. Okay, so if you are very stingy in spending the money for advertisement, what will happen? It cannot reach the consumer in the market. Okay, So now advertisement, it plays a very important role, because now this advertisement, it reaches the consumer even in the other part of the world also. Okay, other part of the country, other part of the world also. So likewise, if there is a proportionate change in advertising expenditure, obviously there will be a proportionate change in the demand for the commodity. So how much ever you are spending the money, according to the expenditure, there will be a changes in the demand for the commodity, proportionate changes in the demand for the commodity, which we call it as advertising elasticity of demand. Okay, so these are all the four types of elasticity of demand. Now we are going to see the first elasticity of demand is price elasticity of demand we have seen. So the proportionate change in the price of the commodity leads to the proportionate changes in the quantity demanded we have seen in the first type of elasticity of demand. Now we are going to see not only the one type happens. Okay, so there are various situations. Whenever there is a changes in the price level, there will be a different level of changes in the quantity demanded of a commodity. So that different levels or different degrees we are going to see. So the first one is perfectly elastic demand. EP is equal to infinity. EP is equal to infinity. That is, here the perfectly elastic means what? There will be a same level of quantity demanded. Okay, so whenever there is a slight changes in the price of a commodity, it leads to what? The infinite changes in the quantity demanded. Okay, whether it is a increase in the price level here, which we call it as what? This perfectly elastic demand, we call it as horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis. How it happens? You see the diagram. We are taking quantity demanded in the x-axis, price in the y-axis. Okay, so if suppose the price level of a commodity is from 0 to p, okay, what will happen to the quantity demanded? You see the quantity demanded, it may be from 0 to here q1 level, q2 level, it may be q3 level. It depends upon the income of the consumer. Okay, suppose if the price level of the gold, it's very high from 0 to p, what will happen? There are consumers, those who are consuming very less quantity. There are consumers, those who are consuming more of quantity, though the price level is high. Okay, so that's why the quantity demanded among the consumer, it keep on increasing, which we call it as what? Elastic demand. Okay, it keep on increasing, so which we call it as perfectly elastic demand. The demand, it keeps on increasing. Okay, so here it indicates the red color straight line demand curve, and in numerically we can write it as what? EP is equal to infinity. Why we are writing it as a infinity? Why the demand curve it is infinity? Because there is a what? The quantity demanded among the consumer for a particular commodity, it keep on increasing. Like for example, gold commodity. Okay, so the price level is from 0 to p level, but the quantity, the price level, it remains constant from 0 to p level, but you see the quantity demanded, it keep on increasing in the x-axis, which we call it as horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis. Okay, so this is one situation. This is the first situation. The first situation is perfectly elastic demand, EP is equal to infinity. Okay, now we are going to see the second situation. You see perfectly inelastic demand. Though the price level it increases, decreases and remain constant, what will happen? The demand will never change at all. It will be a what? No change in the demand for a product due to changes in the price level of a commodity. Okay, like for example, you take maybe the price for a woolen cloths, price for a woolen cloths during summer. So what will happen? During summer we prefer only cotton cloths, we don't prefer the woolen cloths. Okay, so at that time, though the price level it decreases from p1 to p2, P2 to P3, the price decreases, there will not be any change in the quantity demanded among the people, because the situation, we already we have seen one of the determinants of demand is the weather condition. Okay, so depending upon the weather, the demand for the commodity, it depends. Okay, so I'm telling you only one example. We can say so many examples like ice creams. Okay, so here what happens now, though the price decreases from P1 level to P2 and P2 level to P3, there will not be any change in the quantity demanded by the consumer. So at that time what happens now, the demand curve, it remains constant. If you draw the demand curve DD, it will be a vertical straight line. So it is a vertical straight line, so which shows that the demand remains unchanged. Okay, the demand, it remains unchanged. Okay, so this is the other situation when there is a changes in the price level, which we call it as perfectly inelastic demand. EP is equal to 0. So if the demand curve is a vertical straight line, obviously it indicates that EP is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the second situation. Then now you take the third situation, relatively elastic demand, that is EP is equal to greater than or 1. It is nothing but, here you see, whenever there is a proportionate changes in the price level of a commodity, there will be a greater proportionate changes in the what? The price and demand, vice versa will happen. So how you see, we are taking in the x-axis, we are taking the quantity demanded, the y-axis we are taking the price. What will happen here, you see, 0 P1 is the price level of a commodity. When the price level is from 0 to P1, what will happen to the quantity? It will be from the level 0 to Q0. When you join both the P1 and Q1 point, you are getting a the edge point here. When the price level decreases from 0 P1 level to 0 P2 level, what will happen to the quantity demanded? It will be increasing. You see, a lesser decrease in the price level lead to higher increase in the quantity demanded. This we call it as a relatively elastic demand. Okay, like for example here, decrease in the 5 rupees of a commodity will lead to 10 quantity, increase in the purchase of 10 quantity. Okay, so that is the the demand curves, it's gradually it slopes downwards. When you join both this price and quantity points, you will get a demand curve, red color demand curve. It indicates that the smaller changes in the price level leads to higher changes in the quantity demanded for a commodity. Okay, so which we call it as relatively elastic demand, or EP is greater than or 1. Okay, this is the third situation. The next you come to the fourth situation, relatively inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand, it is just opposite to the elastic demand. Okay, so this EP will be lesser than or 1. How? The two things will happen. Here you see this one, also we call it as the elasticity less than unity. That is, here you see the higher changes in the price level lead to lower changes in the quantity demanded. You see the price level is from 0 to P1 is the original price level. When the price level is from 0 to P1, the quantity demanded, it will be from 0 to Q1 level. If the price level decreases to double the rate of the original, okay, so maybe from 10 rupees to 10 rupees to 5 rupees. What will happen to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded, it will be like here very lesser quantity of increase in the quantity demanded. Okay, what will at that time the proportionate will not happen in the demand, price and the demand. Okay, so which we call it is relatively inelastic demand. larger decrease in the price level lead to smaller increase in the quantity demanded. So if suppose the price level decreases from 10 rupees to 5 rupees, what will be the quantity demanded? It will be increasing from 5 quantity to 6 quantity. Only 1 unit of a commodity is increasing demand for the commodity. Okay, so here if you join all the price and quantity points, you will get a demand curve DD. Okay, the sloping downward curve, it will be a what? It will be a very steeply sloping it will be. Okay, so here EP is lesser than R1, that's why it is lesser than R1. So the calculations of all those things in the coming chapter, in the coming session we will see. Okay, then the next one is here, the fifth one is unitary elastic demand. Unitary elastic demand, it is nothing but the equality between the price and quantity. So EP is equal to 1, EP is equal to 1 price, elasticity of demand is it will be equal to 1. How we are saying that it is equal to 1? That is, whenever there is a changes, proportionate changes in the price will lead to proportionate changes in the quantity demanded. You see the diagram. The diagram, in the x-axis we are taking the quantity demanded, in the y-axis we are taking the price for the commodity. You see how far the changes in the prices, the decrease in the prices will lead to how much of quantity demanded it increases. So here you see 0P0 is the original price of a commodity. Like for example, you see 10 rupees. If the price of the commodity is 10 rupees. Okay, so what will be the quantity demanded? 5 quantities. Okay, for example, I am telling you the quantity demanded is 0 to Q0. Okay, this is the quantity demanded. If suppose the price decreases from 0P0 to 0P1 level, that is instead of 10 rupees, if the seller is decreasing the price of the commodity to 5 rupees, what will happen to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded will be in a proportionate range, that is from 0 level to 0 to Q1 level. That is, instead of purchasing 5 units, if the price decreases, the consumer will demand 10 units of commodity. Okay, so now when you join both the price and quantity points, you will get a two points R0, R1. When you join both the R1, R0 and R1 edges of prices and quantity, you will get a demand curve DD, red color curve. So this will be a rectangular hyperbola curve, we can say, because it's a what? The price, the proportionate changes in the price leads to proportionate changes in the quantity demanded. Okay, which we call it as unitary. Okay, so symbolically we are writing it as a EP is equal to 1. So this is the main important point here. Unitary means there will be a same proportionate changes in the price and quantity demanded. Okay, so here how we can understand is 0 P0 R0 Q0 is equal to 0 P1 R1 Q1. So which we call it as rectangular hyperbola. Okay, so this is also one of the situation when there is a changes in the price, there will be a changes, unitary changes in the elastic demand for a commodity. Okay. Now you see these are all the, what are all the things we have seen. The level of levels or degrees of price elasticity of demand, what we have seen with the help of the symbols, with the help of the numerical terms, explanation diagram, we are consolidating it and we have written here in a tabular column. So you see the first column, it indicates the numerical value, then terminology, description, shape of the demand curve. So if the price elasticity of demand is the infinity, it indicates that there will be a perfectly elastic demand. How? If there is a changes in the demand is infinite at a given price. Okay, and how the shape of the demand curve it will be a horizontal one we have seen. The next situation is if the price of the price elasticity of demand is equal to 0, what will happen? We have seen it's a perfectly inelastic demand. And how the demand, it remains unchanged, and whatever be the change in the price. So at that time what happens? So whatever the price means, what? Increase and decrease in the price, it leads to vertical curve, demand curve. Then the EP is equal to 1, that is unitary elastic. How it will be? The percentage change in quantity will lead to percentage change in the price. And how the demand curve, it will be shaped the rectangular hyperbola. The next here, the elasticity of demand when it is lesser than 1, that is inelastic. What will happen to the or the demand curve? The quantity demanded, it will be lesser than the percentage change in the price, and the demand curve, it will be a steeper one. And finally, the elasticity of price elasticity of demand, it will be greater than R1, which is a elastic one. And here quantity demanded, there will be a greater quantity demanded when there is a changes in the price level of the commodity, and the demand curve, it will be a flatter one. Okay, so we have seen the numerical value, we have seen, then the shape of the demand curve we have seen. Okay, so these are all the price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of demand. Okay, so with this we'll finish this session today, and the remaining thing I will continue in the next class. Students, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye, take care.